This is the Levels Network. I'm Justin Horo. This is Triple OG, Willie Mason OG. It is round 3. Preview time. We're into it, brother.
It's been flying, man. The whole year, right?
You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
We've got a big episode coming up. We'll obviously preview all the games. We've got all the odds from our partners at the tab. But I've got topic 1, the tale of two halves. 2 big names have been dropped already. We're only 3 weeks into the NRL season. We've lost Jackson Hastings for the Newcastle Knights, and Lockie ILLIAS was the night before it was reported, and it ended up being the case on Tuesday when the team list come out. Both halves, so we'll discuss both of them. There's also been some news, a bit of backlash from in particular from Vossi and Brandy at SEN on Josh Mansour's podcast that he did with the buy round.
Unfair.
James Graham, we'll talk about that. We'll delve into that. And I guess the 2 biggest names on the free agent market right now that are available to sign at a team next year are the May brothers. Yeah. So we'll discuss that. There's been a new club that has emerged as the favourite to sign both of them because it is believed that they want to be packaged together. If you're new to the gang, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, get on YouTube, get on Instagram, get on TikTok before it goes, and subscribe on Apple and Spotify. We've got a comment here. This is from the 11th of the 3rd, 2024. Easily the best NRL podcast. 2 mates having a yarn, but with proper in-depth knowledge and analysis. Henry, 1990-92. Really appreciate that, brother. I guess that's the way we view the podcast as well. Good mates. We love talking footy and
having a conversation.
Feel like we've got pretty good footy IQ, just like LeBron James and JJ Redick.
We need to break plays down like those two.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a mad show, eh?
It's awesome. It's there's, like we said, levels. There's levels
especially
to
for LeBron. Like, his IQ is well known to be like one of the smartest. Like, he even put himself out there and to get JJ Redick, someone like that who we must respect, who has a high IQ of basketball as well. Sit down there and break plays. That could change the game, I reckon.
Do you reckon that's an underrated part of his? Obviously, the way he's conditioned his body over the years, but his IQ, figuring out how to play games smarter, is. Been a big part of his longevity in the game.
100%. That's what they all say. The greats say. Like when he went to Miami, that's when he really learnt the IQ off Pat Riley and Spoelstra, even D Wade and all those kind of guys. And he just went. And plus, he's a freak athlete.
Oh, here we go. Lukey's got something ready. He's fucking ready
already.
To go.
Should we add a bottle of red to this show?
Oh, you want a bottle of red? We don't need it, mate, because we've got the BSC energy drinks.
Can we mix the energy drinks with a bottle of red?
So
at 8 o'clock in the morning.
This episode is also brought to you by BSC. Specifically, the energy drinks at the moment, mate. They are pumping. If you haven't tried them, they're 160 milligrams of caffeine. There's no sugar, no carbs. So if you're a tradie, you could be watching this or listening to this, going to work, might be doing some scaff, and you got one of the other energy drinks. Get rid of it because this is the grouse. No sugar, no carbs. So not only does it have that beautiful, nice taste, you're also not getting all the other shit that all the other energy drinks.
Quick little story. I was getting a quick little fade from
looking good too.
Barbarians down yesterday, and he was drinking Red Bull. I was like, "Can you stop drinking that shit, Ali?" You know what I mean? I said, "I'm going to drop him down a carton of these and see how he goes with that." Yeah, young kids, 19, they get into those I've got to break those little habits with him. So he's in the gym, he's getting after it all the time. I said, "Don't drink that shit."
Look at that. The opposition copping straight off the bat, too. I love that. It's HASTA tested as well, so it's good for all the athletes, just like me and you, mate.
Yeah.
Because we are going to be at the Aqua Rugby tournament representing Team BC.
Oh, yeah.
And our good mate, Rennie Matul, is joining us as well.
Yeah, nice. I think Dan Con's in
the team. We've got a good gang.
I need to know, Body Science, I'm on at the moment now, I'm 60 hours into a fast. Would that break my fast because it has no sugar?
Well, let's not break it now.
I'm not going to break it.
Let's not, just in case.
72 hours.
I think you'll be sweet because everything that's in here, you can enjoy it guilt-free, mate. So
surely.
Just hold off on it just in case. I don't want you to break it.
Talk to me, Greg.
And
you're the scientist.
Let us know, Greg and Pico. All right, mate. We just got the one YouTube question. This one's for you, Big Willie. Love the content, gents. Big Willie, with all your work, with all the young up-and-comers over at the Dogs, do you see any SBW-like talents coming through? Now, I know what you're going to say. There is no SBW. Yeah. In your opinion, who is the next big thing to keep an eye out for? I want a forward and a back, mate. And that's from Laurie Pritchard.
Well, I'm not that good with names, right? Back there. They're all a bunch of really good kids. SG Ball is obviously under 19s. I think that's where you're really going to get your pick from.
Yep.
That's where if you get through that night, play a couple of years in 19s, and then you probably pretty much jump flag and you get to Reggie's, and then you should play first grade. That should be the pathways. But because of the COVID factor and everyone missing out, they've gone under 17s as Harold Matts, under 19s as SG Ball, under 21s as Jersey Fleet.
Okay.
And then you got reserve grade and then first grade.
Yeah, because we were 16s, 18s, 20s.
Yes. So it was a bit harder to get through. It was not many jumping from Reggie's to first grade. I mean, from Fleg to even to first grade.
Do you like
Fleg
that
to
new
reserve
system?
grade. I think it's giving everyone an opportunity. I'm not sure how long it'll stick around, but it's giving everybody an opportunity. So nobody's missing out on the game. So if you're 22, you're still going to play reserve grade if you're good enough.
Yeah.
And then if you're 20, 21, you're still going to play Jersey Flag. So
yeah, I like the extra year
I
of
don't mind it.
development
I
for
don't
21s.
mind it. They need the development because they missed out on those two years with COVID, and it was a fucking important moment in their careers. So I'm glad that the NRL has done this, or New South Wales Rugby League have done this.
Yep.
But I love Mitch Woods. He's a kid that he gives me Mitch Pearce vibes.
Yeah, okay. Big rap.
He loves, and that's a big rap.
Yeah.
Like he loves his footy. He's passionate. He's a captain of our SG Ball side, which is 19. He's a year young.
Yep.
He's got all the fundamentals, right? The laser, left to right, right to left, tackle, willing to tackle, right? Piercy was a fucking gun defender. He was a dog. He would put himself in front.
He was a small body, but he's willing.
Yeah. He was very willing, and
Especially early on.
And he bulked up, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
he got about 5 or 6 kilos of muscle on him. That's
Yeah.
what Woodsy's heading towards because he's only a baby still.
Yep.
But he's got a good height, got a good footy IQ. Even the great Joey Johns said he's the best 7 he's seen.
That's massive.
I hope Woodsy doesn't listen to this so he doesn't get a big head. Because I love the kid. I've known him since he was 15. I've had a lot to do with him. So.
And also, you don't want, when last time Joey sort of put big raps on
Yeah,
the
you
guy.
don't want to be the next Joey Johns. Joey didn't say he's going to be the next Tim. He's learnt that. He's learnt that because he's ruined 10 careers.
Well, the main one was Luke Brooks, who had all that pressure coming through.
That's the thing. It's not Joey's fault when you compare him to Joe. But he just said, who's the young kid who's in the pathways for us? He was in New South Wales pathways.
He's your guy?
Woodsy, he goes, best product of best talent I've seen for the last 10 or 15 years.
Well.
I went, shit. And I think I told Woodsy that. No pressure, mate. Anyway, he's my heart. He's the back. We've got some decent. We've got some really Jeffro, a winger. I think he could play. I think he could play first grade in 2 or 3 years. He's 17, 18. He's playing Jersey Flag already. He's played twos. A fucking like Vunivalu, man.
Ooh.
He's got that, and he's a baby.
Yeah,
he's a baby. I like him. I don't think I've even said hello to him.
Yeah,
but he don't know.
Yeah,
he don't know. But
I'm like
I fucking like this. I like the 5. I like the 5. We've got a young kid, young little Cobbo's nephew. I think he's from that tribe, and he looks exactly like Selwyn. Yeah, good looking cat. 17, ripped as fuck, perfect, smooth look. Yeah, just done a grade 3 hamstring, which was awful. So he's out for the year, but he was showing so much promise. He's the future on the wing. Those 2 guys are the future. In about 3 years, I reckon.
Nice.
And proper first graders, right? Not just like, just fill in, have a couple of games and fuck off. Yep. He's got it all. His body fat's about like 8%. It's ridiculous. Forwards is the big one, right? That's what we need. We've got a couple of young kids. Young kid, Cepho. I like him. He's a back rower. I like Sphinxy, the back rower. Another one. We've got some really good hard working back rowers, right? Big foes.
Are they like Preston type toilet, like really hard working back rowers? Or
like, one's like an Angus Crichton. Sphinx is like an Angus Crichton, man. Like he's fucking big ball runner, Australian schoolboy, all that sort of stuff. He's done all that sort of stuff. He's one of the leaders in that side. Young kid Foe, who's got all the attributes to be that. He just needs to be coached better.
Yeah.
He's about 6'4", 120 kilos, 12% body fat.
He needs to develop by the
just
sounds.
Develop. He just turned 18, right? So we need to at the start, he couldn't even get more than 10 minutes out. He busted out 35 minutes straight on the weekend.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Like little things like that.
And that's going to come with more game time, right?
Developing a pass, because he's the product of give the big Polynesian kid the ball and let him fucking run through the whole team from age 8 to age 15.
Okay.
And now it evens out when you're playing flag.
Boy starts
or
to hit
SG ball.
Hit the gym.
You got to go to you got to play the big boy up in Newcastle, the big boy out in Penrith, the Parramatta guy, the Canberra kid. They all got those guys. What's the difference? It's the footy IQ. It's the fitness. So he's getting fitter. So he's a work in progress.
Okay.
So it's got some good kids there. And then I'm probably leaving out some other kids, but they're the ones that I'm looking at and going, okay, if they really concentrate and really put their work in the next 2 or 3 years, they will be first graders.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So some of those boys who just got named, I only asked for 2, but Mace gave you about 6 or 7 as Bulldogs fans. Yeah. There's a crop coming.
I just like the couple of those wingers there, man. I forgot about those on the way in. I was just like, nah, one of them is nice.
You know what's something to look out for? So you mentioned Bill Woods now. I think Queensland have gone through this purple patch of Munster, Cherry Evans, before them Cronk, Lockyer, Thurston, and now they've got Ezra Mann.
Bill Woods?
Oh, what's his name? Sorry,
Mitch Woods.
Mitch Woods. Apologies,
Channel
Mitch.
10 Sports Tonight. Bill Woods.
Apologies, Mitch.
He does a podcast for the Dogs.
Yeah, I know he is now. Yeah, that's what's in mind. So they obviously go through the golden era, and then after you get Cherry Evans, Ben Hunt, Cam Munster. Now you've got Tommy Dearden, Ezra Mam, Sam Walker. I'm probably going to forget someone, but
they're the main ones.
Basically, in New South Wales in the last 10 years, it's been Nathan Cleary and who? Like, there hasn't really been someone solidify that role. Obviously, Jerome's played a lot of footy with him. Mitch Moses has been talked about. Cody Walker's been thereabouts. Even before that, it was like Mitchy Pearce copped a lot of the brunt for New South Wales for a long time. Now, if you look at this young crop, not Bill, Mitch Woods, you got Lachlan Galvin at the Tigers, who looks, one game in, looks a player. Ethan Strange at the Canberra Raiders, who looks a player. And I'm probably forgetting one more. So I had one more in my mind just before, and I've forgotten about him now. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. But seems like there's Ethan Sanders. There's big raps on that Ethan Sanders kids from Parramatta as well. So feels like there's a crop coming through for New South Wales, something to be excited about in the next couple of years.
Because Cleary's got another 10 years in him. Or not 10 years maybe in rep football.
I think so.
At least, like, how old is Cleary?
Nath would be about 26, 27. I'll look at that.
Well, he's not going to play for 10 years.
Well, Daly is. That's Daly's age. So if you project him to have the same sort of career.
Yeah, but he didn't start as young as Daly. I mean, as long as Daly didn't start as young as Cleary at the rep scene.
Daly would have been 21 when he debuted, I think.
Yeah, but debuted for like New South Wales. I mean, for Queensland.
So Nath is 26.
Yeah, he's at least 5 to 6 years at the top again.
Yeah. So and I'm getting Ches up now as well. So Daly's 26. Ches is
35.
Enhance. Ches is 35. So 9 years. I can picture. I can see Nath going if he wants to. And we just talked about LeBron taking care of your body, footy IQ. What doesn't Nath have?
Yeah, unless he's got someone else just taking over him. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference with Queensland. No one's taken DCE's position or Ben Hunt's. So they've been waiting for Sam Walker to do that for 2 or 3 years. Ezra Mann's probably the next man up. These younger kids, Tom Dearden. But they have to wait for these guys to lose.
Correct.
And they're not losing, and they're still doing a job. DC was one of the best players in the comp last year and for Origin. So it's like, I don't care how old he is.
Hey, and congrats too, the most capped skipper in Manly history.
Well done.
He's coming for all the records, mate. He's still got a couple of years left.
Oh, easy.
He's 310 games now.
He's only just going to retire from rep football, I reckon, after this year.
308 games.
Maybe after this year, and he'll go, okay, I'll concentrate on club for 3 more years.
I know him really. I know him really well.
He'll hang on.
He will go as long as he's competitive, mate.
As much as they pick him,
he's super competitive. He's the sort of guy, he won't give it up.
Oh,
so he'll have to be tapped on the shoulder by Billy and say,
he shouldn't give it up, because if they keep winning, I know what Queensland's like. They'll just keep picking him. And like, if they lose this year, then they'll go for that next guy.
Then there'll be a discussion.
Yes, then there's a discussion.
Yeah.
But he still has to be playing on the down. But he's not. He's still like that. He's plateaued a little bit, and he's still going that way. He's trending towards that way, especially when he gets that maroon jersey.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like he's
Fucking
35.
Hell, I'm sick of it. Retire, mate.
It still feels like he's trending up, and they're a genuine
He's just
contender.
gotten better. And as I say, like, just say with sports science and everything like that, and evolution, blah, 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 like, they're going to play better when they get older. They understand the game. It slows down for the guys when they're about 30. Look, DC doesn't even get his heart rate above fucking 120.
How funny is this? We're supposed to be previewing round 3. We're already talking about Origin. My bad. I started talking about all the young kids, and then we end up talking about Origin, but we're into it. All right, mate. On the weekend, we are going to be attending the Golden Slipper with our partners, the Tab, and we're looking forward to getting out there at Rose Hill. So we've got Emma and Ben to give us some tips from the So We Think podcast. And I actually thought it was the Way Overdue podcast, but that's actually your Instagram handle.
Well, that was the title I suggested, but unfortunately Emma wanted to play a role in the show as well.
And my surname is not
Way.
So.
No, but at Way Overdue, please follow me on Instagram. You'll be absolutely amazed with the content. A little bit of cooking, a little bit of relationships.
A lot of dogs.
Lots of dog stuff.
We love our dogs levels, yeah. Emma, I'll start with you. I've got a funny story. I do a radio with James Magnuson.
Yes.
And he didn't mention your name on the Moles Club the other week, but he said he ran into you, and then you ended up giving him some tips for the races. And the place that he ran into you at was the new Allianz Stadium, and I believe you were in the ice bath / steam room sauna.
Yeah, we're doing the hot and cold.
So first of all, my question is that 6 again? Because we said it's not on radio. Like, leave her alone. Let her, at least maybe wait until you're leaving the facilities before you're asking for a tip. And my second question is,
did he ask?
To be fair, we were in the steam room first, and I've met James a couple of times, and we kind of did that knowing glance, like, oh, okay, but we're in a steam room, so I'm in my black Speedos and you're
He's
in your
in his,
budgies, and there's like 10 people in here. Like, you don't want to be talking in there, talking racing and
not
stuff.
overly.
But then I got
Don't
into
want
the
to be talking at all.
No,
At
not
all.
at all. I think it's a place of silence, but there's people who seem to disagree with that. Get into the ice bath, and within a minute of being there, I hear the "Hi, Em," and I'm like, "Oh God." Okay, now we're chatting in the ice bath. I wanted to hear about his venture into the enhanced games,
yep.
so I was happy to have a chat with James. But yeah, there was probably some sporting types at the stadium looking at us going, what are these two babbling on about? I think it's fine. He asked in a very polite manner. I tipped him Gatsby's.
Okay.
Which, so
I wasn't going to say that.
Going to
I
be
was,
so good with the
he
big
declared
boom
it.
on him. Yeah, and I think we all did.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we were all declaring him
He
last
was
weekend.
desperately unlucky to bump into Em at the only time in history she wasn't keen for a chat.
Yes, yeah.
So
It was
the next
nice.
part of the question is, guys, because you say renowned people see you on TV all the time, where's the weirdest place? Was that up there, Emma, for weirdest
I
places you've
assume
been
this
asked for a
question
tip?
only relates to you.
No.
one knows me.
No. Well, your Instagram handle is now world famous. I think the ice bath is one of the strangest places to cop and ask for the tip.
Yeah, our target demographic at Sky Racing really lends itself towards pubs, clubs, fast food, eateries late at night. So it's more that, you've finished work late at night, you're in a Hungry Jack's wanting a quick meal.
Geez, your love.
Burgers are better.
Have you had the Whopper lately? And they've really upgraded their chips. Kind of medium cut now.
Yeah, they have, yeah. I'm a bacon deluxe guy myself, but yeah,
It is.
Whopper's the OG.
You can tell James that's okay. If he sees me in the
Okay.
ice bath next time, it's A-okay.
Yeah.
But
well,
I need to try and get to the 10 minutes like he
Yeah,
does.
he's trying to kill time. That's the biggest secret. In
10
ice
minutes
bath,
he
10
does.
minutes, yeah. That's the minimum.
so trying to distract yourself, mate.
You do. That's what I do when I'm in an ice bath for 10 minutes. I try and
think-
talk or just watch something. If I'm with
Yeah.
but usually I'm with the younger sort of kids and they're just asking a million questions anyway at the
Yeah.
Bulldogs facilities. So 10 minutes goes quick.
Well, see, I finished mine because I don't do 10 minutes because I'm a wuss and I'm trying to
It's
get
a
there.
long time.
It's a long
mate.
time. 10
But I
minutes
did
is long.
5, and then I got into the spa and actually continued to chat to him so that I could try and help him get through the 10 minutes. By the end of it, he was sitting there with his fingers out and was chattering away.
It's the worst,
so,
isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, but it's good. I do feel good afterwards.
Way better.
So
He's
good.
in ferociously good nick.
He
Yeah.
was before. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's enhanced already. But
No,
not
he said
yet.
he hasn't
he's still
started,
he's
no.
been looking mint for years.
You know what?
He's in good shape.
I feel a bit sorry
Trains
for him in
hard.
a way in the last couple of months because when I spoke to him about what he could do as part of the enhanced games, it's not like they can go up doing heaps of anabolic steroids and stuff like that. It has to be
No.
prescribed by a doctor and
monitored.
I think the message has been really lost for him.
I think, did Kieran Perkins come out with someone's going to die? Like, shut up, man. No, it's all going to be monitored by doctors,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And he does look in good
And
shape.
he's been looking like that for years. He trained so hard.
Yeah.
I can
Got
only
his own
imagine what he's going to look like if he does,
Yeah.
when he does do it.
First person I've ever heard tell Kieran Perkins to shut up.
Oh, God.
Ben, you've got to watch our podcast. Everyone cops it. Nathan Highmarsh was copping strays before for some reason. Like,
But like, no one's going to die, right? It's all because it's all medically. Like there's doctors in that they're measuring you. Like
Yeah.
everything's measured, right? You're not going to be sitting here like a bodybuilder. Come on.
And he's got
Silly
heaps of
comment.
time, like
Silly
maybe 18
comment.
months before the games actually happen. So, look, if I was offered $1 million and I was that good at swimming, I'd probably think about it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm super intrigued.
What would be your event, Em?
Oh,
Olympic event?
I'd probably a gymnast look at me.
See, the only way I could do it is something like sailing, where I had, where somebody carried me to victory.
Yeah.
The boat.
I like that. When we discussed it
Just
early
be on
on,
that thing like that.
there was a lot of complaints about, the perception it gives to young athletes. But you're right, Ben. Like, how many athletes can actually even get close to breaking a world record to even begin to be a part of these games regardless? So it's only going to be a specific sort of athlete.
Yeah.
It's only going to be close to.
There's some guy who's already in good nick like Mags. Like he's looking
He'll have
good
to be
anyway.
fast
And
athlete.
he's not like he's 40. He's like early 30s.
Yeah.
Like he retired when he was 28.
God, you're all over the stats.
I'm mates with him. And I asked him a million questions in the ice bath before.
Well, let's ask them some questions. We need some tips for the weekend for everyone who's going to come out and we're going to get amongst it with the punters as well. I think I'm going to get a mic. Mace is going to be out there. So we want to know. Let's start
early. My advice is do that.
That is the plan.
Before 1 o'clock or
That's
2
the plan.
I'll be out there with the eighth immortal, Joey Johns, about 11:30, I think.
There you go.
That's
Do
a good
it
idea
earlier.
for him too.
Do it.
So I reckon we get done nice and early, and then we want to get some reactions, and hopefully they're good reactions, guys, because we've got some good mail. Do you want to kick it off with the first Group 1, the Ranford Stakes?
Yeah, for me, this is a race in 2. Think it over up against a mare who cost $5.5 million. Her name is Via Sistina.
Yep.
And the money has been big for her, so I'm actually gonna back her.
Yeah.
Via Sistina.
Not too much to add there. I agree. Small field. Of all the Group 1s, that's probably the one where you're sitting there thinking, I would have appreciated some more numbers.
Having said that, I'll tell you something. The 7 placed a carousel, which is Anthony and Sam Friedman's. I take my cousin is Sam. He and my uncle trained the Melbourne Cup winner last year, and Sam usually travels up when they've got runners up here.
Yep.
Oh no, the big dog, the boss is coming up this weekend, which just told me maybe something.
Okay.
And we were discussing it off air. Em's been to Plastic Carousel various times over the years in Paris. Just the courtyard there at the front of the Louvre.
Sitting there having a lovely
Apparently.
little
Very well named as well. Out of a dam called Traffic Jam. The traffic there is nightmarish.
Awful.
All right. The next one up is the Rosehill Guineas. We're going to bring Mace. Mace has actually got some mail I want to ask you about as well, but it's on the slipper. It's in the slipper, so
okay.
it's coming
Just
up in a couple of
hold
races.
fire.
He was looking down.
Should win.
He was looking down before, and I was like, I think that's
Just
the next
wait.
race. It's
I
the
thought we
next
were just
race.
doing one race, the slipper.
We'll finish off with the slipper. The Rosehill Guineas, guys. How do we see this one?
So we've got a horse that won over a trip last preparation in Riff Rocket coming up against Tom Kitten. And both of them, you're now wondering, right, with Riff Rocket, Chris Waller thinks this horse isn't a stayer. This is about the maximum trip. And with Tom Kitten, he refuses to get warm at anything under 2,000 metres. They now meet at that trip, and it's going to be
Good
awesome.
battle.
It's going to be awesome. I have a feeling Tom Kitten's kind of been kidding to us for the past couple of starts. We might see him finally rear his big head. But Riff Rocket's a good horse, so take them on at your peril. I think it is between those two.
I'm going to throw in Cafe Millennium, the big horse, in there for some each way money. He'll be at a decent price, and I loved his run last start.
When you
was
say
a
big
great
horse size, is that what he's big
giant-
boy?
He looks like, I mean, John O'Shea hates me saying this, but he kind of looks like a big giraffe. Like he's just big, isn't he? He's just a big,
And
you know.
he is a dork.
Yeah, he's a dog.
You sort of see him, he's a bit confused. It's like when you handball the ball to a ruckman. I know that might be
Yeah,
lost in
no,
context.
I
but
know. We know the AFL.
It
We know
takes
the
8
AFL.
minutes to send the ball from the hand to the foot. And that's kind of what Cafe Millennium's like.
I feel
but
like
the
he's putting
ability's
it
there.
together, though.
He is.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is the George Ryder Stakes, and Think About It is the favourite at $3.80.
The big thing here is think about it. So he won the Everest. We've seen him treated as a sprinter his last 2 preparations, and Joe Pride, his trainer, has said, no, I want to get him over a trip. I want to get him to the mile this preparation to see if he can win a Doncaster. He has that big an opinion of this horse. You got to be a bit mad to think that, because it's like, what's it like? It's trying to get like Usain Bolt to run like an 800.
Oh, no.
Is it
okay.
like putting
That's a
a-
good analogy.
Is
Now
it?
I get it.
Yeah.
Or is it like for footy people putting a winger into the front row?
Maybe,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, then it's not going to win.
No.
But is he
Usain
that
Bolt may
good?
have been the greatest
100
800 metre
metre-
runner
We
ever.
we don't know.
But
Yeah.
he never got
He hasn't
tested
been
there.
trained
Interesting.
that way, but
Exactly.
So he's been trained.
He's been trained to be a
do
sprinter.
that this time round.
Drawn the car parks.
I am going to risk him, and I'm going to be backing Militarize, the 3-year-old. So I'm tipping Chris Waller and James McDonald to have a massive day like they did last Saturday again. Militarize, the 3-year-old. Hopefully he gets a little bit of give in the ground because he excels when it's probably in that 5 to 6 range. And then I'm going to also have a play on New Energy for Kieran Marr. Jason Collett loved him hitting the line, flashing light last start.
Currently 18s.
Yeah, I
18
love
and
Kovalika,
5.
but I'm in the New Energy camp.
Okay.
Fantastic run. We might be going off a run too early, but I reckon if you follow New Energy through the autumn,
You're going to pick up
you're
something.
going to get
Okay.
a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. And the last one to finish off, the main race of the day is the Golden Slipper. Mace has actually got some value for
Come
you
on,
guys.
Mace. Go on.
Mace, what's your tip for
We
the Golden
spoke
Slipper?
before, and he shut it down. I was excited. I thought he was going to say something.
You thought
Fully lit.
You thought I shut it down then. Wait till I shut
Yeah,
it down.
shut it down now, please, and give me another tip.
Mace
Fully
played-
lit.
Mace played for the
Horse-
Bulldogs,
yeah, named
so he thought it was
after
fully
you.
sick.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where he was going with it.
I thought I was in Vegas and just fully lit. That's all it was.
So my thoughts on fully lit. I would never talk anyone out of any horse. And
You have.
And
You
not,
do?
And not one. Yeah, I guess it is.
If it
technically
wins,
my
you're
job.
going to get something, mate.
And it's not, ideally drawn. We'll find the fence, has good positional speed. Stablemate probably comes across, which means its leader's back and gets the run of the race. But, here are the buts.
Yeah, give me
Comes out of a black opal. One horse has done a black opal Golden Slipper double, and it was a long time ago. I think his name was Catbird. It's not a race that, is generally talked about as a great slipper reference. This horse didn't even win the black opal.
Okay.
Ran second to Holmes Court, who I don't give any chance. So it's long odds, and it should be.
Hey, I'm with you.
Whee,
Emma,
okay.
Well,
Did he
I
miss
ring my
anything
mate up and absolutely hammer him.
Very good horse.
Did he miss
Storm
anything?
boy-
But
I
Emma?
like
Nah,
it.
he didn't miss, did he?
Just waiting for a good tip, and then I'll be happy.
Well, it'll make for a great second. Like I'll have to
I'll be on
return.
it, yeah.
If this horse
This
wins,
wins,
I've got to
mate.
come back.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You will have
Yeah.
to go and apologise.
I will.
Yes.
Yes.
Storm
Wouldn't be
Boy's
my
a short
first.
price favourite. He's $2.10. He's undefeated. He's like, I think Richo, who we work with, he describes him as the 14-year-old big unit who's playing in the under 11s.
Yeah,
like he's,
yeah.
he's the big
Like
guy
Willie.
who's
Yeah,
he's
like
like
Willie.
Willie.
In Toronto West, growing up in Toronto West.
Yes.
It's a Willie Mason of horses. So he's a gun.
He's just a big solid unit. He's a gun. He's going to be hard to beat. I've loved Switzerland, what he's done in these last two starts in particular. I think he'll only improve. Chris Waller trains his horses to peak on the big days.
Yep.
So we know he's going to be peaking Saturday. I've got a soft spot for a filly called Manal. She's drawn the car park though, but she'll be running home super strong late. But I think it probably is a race into Storm Boy in Switzerland.
Yeah.
By
I
soft spot, she means vested interest.
invested.
Well,
Yeah.
family trained,
Okay.
and my daughter
Yes.
loves her so much. Like she's like a little dog.
I was,
keen on
I-
Switzerland?
yeah, I got on Switzerland a couple of weeks ago. I was watching the coverage. Was it last week or the week before when Switzerland raced? And a lot of you thought that it was probably going to be a run away and be set for this, and it still won well. So,
Yeah.
how do you? I got nines about it early. It's. You think that's good value,
Well,
or
that's
I think that's great
yeah,
value.
yeah?
I think
Yeah.
you've done really well there.
Do you think it can be a coin flip, or do you think Storm Boy's that much better?
I think he is the better horse, but I think there's concern that he's been up and racing for a long time. To do the Magic Millions Golden Slipper doubles really hard to do. That's my only concern, really.
Yeah. Three have done it. Three have done the Magic Million Slipper double, but it does mean you've essentially got to peak for two grand finals. So again, from a footy analogy, it'd be pretty tough to do some
Especially as a young
2-3
horse.
months apart as a 2-year-old, and they do turn off as quickly as they turn on. So Storm Boy is around the $2.10 mark. So probability-wise, win probability, that's 47%. Does he win this Golden Slipper 47% of the time if you ran it 100 times? I don't think so. So he's definitely the best horse, but $2.10 is poison in my opinion, and I'm in the Switzerland camp.
Oh, beautiful.
At $5.
All right.
If you shopped, I'm very impressed that you shopped nines. That's very impressive.
Yeah, look,
I didn't do that.
Yeah, it was nice,
Neither
Nelly,
did I.
and I do it like,
ages ago,
and
wasn't
I do it responsibly with nowhere near the money that a lot of the big punters will obviously be doing, but just a little. I just thought it was going to be a two horse race, and it was started at like fives. It blew out to nines after Storm Boy was so impressive early. I think it was after the trial that Storm Boy had, and
Yeah.
then it really blew out. And I thought,
Yeah.
if it's going to be a two horse race, I might as well get on this now early and see what happens.
Well, so
It's not
Switzerland,
always the case though.
No,
Switzerland's
but, you know,
trying
you
to
gotta
trying to end this Waterhouse bot 2-year-old
Domination.
extravaganza that they've had. Honestly, they have had 2-year-old winners come out and win time and time and time again over the past season. She's looking for her eighth.
All right. So no Storm
Eighth.
Boy, no Switzerland. Give me like a roughie, which is not like
It's not rough.
no agenda or anything like that.
Okay,
just
no
thinking,
agenda.
No agenda. Just thinking, what's a roughie that someone could just have good value on and it's a chance of
I
winning.
think Coleman will get a nice run.
Got my doubts.
And I think Lady of Camelot's the best
Yes.
map horse.
Lady of Camelot.
Lady of Camelot was fantastic in the Blue Diamonds, got harassed to within an inch of its life and still ran second to Hayasugi in that. And around $9 each way, I think you'll be in the race a long way.
Maybe Prost in there too.
Yeah.
Because he's so versatile.
I reckon he's champagne size.
Yeah, probably.
That's a whole other episode.
Yeah,
That's all right.
Sorry.
That's all I need to know.
That's another episode for So We Think. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Well done,
Lukey,
guys.
make sure you chuck in the link, the podcast to watch the guys.
And
Thanks for joining us.
Way overdue
Way overdue.
Way overdue. Not the podcast name, the Instagram handle. Thanks for joining
guys.
us, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Well done, guys.
Let's get into topic one. And topic one is A Tale of Two Halves are written. Newcastle playmaker. This is after the news of Lockie ILLIAS, but the ILLIAS news flows into Jason Mitro news. So we'll hit with Newcastle playmaker Jackson Hastings is the latest. Jackson Hastings is the latest halfback to play the price for his club's 0-2 start of the season with the number 7 axe to New South Wales Cup. Hastings, who was a key member of Knights' 10-match winning streak into the finals last year, will be replaced by Jack Cogger. So there was reported news, and then I watched 360 over the last couple of nights on this as well. It was reported that he left training straight away, but he was also given permission with after the news from Adam O'Brien, because it was a big decision that he said, if you want to go home, they were apparently doing rehab. So you can go home, don't worry about the massage. Yeah, go home and set, gather yourself, and then you come back to training. So just on the news with Jackson Hastings, right or wrong call, and if you were given the option in that particular situation, you've never been in this situation before where you've been dropped, so I'll have my opinion after it, but what would you have done in that situation if you sort of considered yourself a leader, and what do you think this is their best spine?
If I'd have got dropped like him.
So first question, is this the best spine that gives the Newcastle Knights the best opportunity to win?
No, I don't think so.
And I agree.
As harsh as we are on Hastings, and a lot of people are, and the media are, and all, like, I don't really care about him personally, but like, as a player, like, I don't think he is the weak link in that. I think Cogger could play 5'8". I think Gamble should be on the bench. I think it works out better. Someone's got to miss out unless they're thinking of the future of that club and they're not looking at re-sign. Is he off contract?
I think he has 2 years left, mate.
He's got 2 years left?
I think this year and next year he
Contracts
will sign.
don't mean shit, but
No, they don't. No,
you know
they
what
don't.
I mean? Like, he could have something else on the table, and then they could be negotiating or something like that. Something's going on there. You don't drop your half. You do not drop your half who's not played awful in 2 games, and you don't drop him after round 2. You got to at least give it 5 games, and you should be 0-5. And he's the problem. Like, I never looked at Newcastle in the last 2 weeks and went, Jackson Hastings is the problem.
No, neither did I.
No, that's the biggest scapegoat. That's worse than ILLIAS. At least ILLIAS wasn't. We'll get to him. He wasn't playing good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Hastings wasn't doing anything fucking fantastic, but he wasn't doing anything that bad to say, hey, drop me.
Yeah, before we get to ILLIAS, I'll also just say I don't think completely it's his fault, but you're right. He didn't help himself by not having the best first 2 rounds of the competition.
So Hastings wasn't dropping balls. He wasn't kicking into his own player. He wasn't giving penalties away. Like, just clean drops.
Yep.
Clean drops. Fundamentals. Boom. Get your fucking hands up. You're a halfback. Doing all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and he's another scapegoat for South's disappointing start. But Hastings, being the position that he's in, how he's going to take this will really sort him out, because maybe a younger Hastings would be fucking sooking and getting a release straight away. This guy can just go, all right, what do I need to work on? What do I need to do? Go back to reserve grade, kill it for a couple of weeks and get his spot back. So, if not, he'll be out of the club.
So the second part of the question was, what would you have done in that situation? You got offered the opportunity to go home, or would you have gone home, or would you have stayed there, done your recovery, got your massage done? What would you have done in that situation? It's a tough one. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer for it. How would you have felt?
Depends how sore I was.
Yeah, that's true. That
do you know what
factors
I mean?
in. That legitimately factors in.
Like, do I have to do this shit?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be happy.
A couple of weeks in, you're probably not as sore as you would be if it was 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah.
Last place you want to be when you just got told that.
Yeah.
And I don't hold that against him at all, because if he had the opportunity, it's not like he just did it himself and went, fuck this, I'm going home. I'm done. Adam went, okay, you can stay here, get your massage and stuff like that and do your swim, or you can just go home.
Yeah.
You're probably furious, because he's probably thinking, I don't deserve to get dropped, right? So I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
He's probably got nothing good to say.
Yeah.
And he probably would have acted up or said something wrong, took the high road, I'm going home.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
And everyone if anyone's watched content over the years, they know I've been pretty critical of him.
Yeah.
And people think it's specifically to do with my relationship with Daly, but this is a thing that's sort of plagued Jackson throughout his career. When I agree with you. Everything that you said. If you're watching the Newcastle Knights on film, first 2 rounds, there is no way in the world Jackson is the reason for them being 0-2 on the field. And I've said this before, like for him on the field, he's got the ceiling I genuinely believe has the ceiling of a top 5 half in the competition. Now, you disagreed with that
Top
last
10.
year. I think top 5 his ceiling is, but he's never really had the opportunity because things like this happen. And this is like, people think, I had a person message me and they go, oh, you must be pumped Jackson Hastings got dropped. I was like, no
one wants to see that.
I said, like, I messaged him back, bro. I said, nah, like, you've got me all wrong. I said, I give my opinion on things that happen in and around the game, relationships, news that I may have. And there's some news that you say and there's some news that you don't say, right? Like, there's some rumors or whatever you hear. But if I hear stuff that may be like secondhand news that I wasn't there, then I'm not going to like say, oh, this happened, he did this at training, or he's got this relationship with players. But if you're a fan of Jackson Hastings or the Newcastle Knights, or you've watched his journey, this stuff happens to him. Like
four clubs,
whatever club he goes to. So I know he does podcasts and he talks about accountability and looking in the mirror and, you know, sort of being a better teammate.
Says the right things.
He says all the right things, but mate, like, at what point do you? If you're just say you've been a fan of him, you followed him for a few years, how don't you look at this situation and go, there must be more to it. Like, there must be more to the way he interacts with players. And he like I said, he talks about it all the time. He says all the right things, but for whatever reason, he still hasn't learned it, because he is not only, like, outside of Kalen, when I look at the spine, I look at Jack Hogger, Tyson Gamble, Phoenix Crossland, and even Brayley, who's been injured. He's the top of all of them. So on talent, he shouldn't be in the team. So there was also some conflicting rumors about him being injured as well. This is like, it's got to get to the point where even if it's not for him, where it might not be, like, he's not willing to sort of have a look in the mirror and actually be accountable and be the teammate that's required of him, or must just cause these dramas.
I feel like there's something going with, just say, the players and him. I don't think they. I don't
see. Look, I don't want to put that out there as well, because I haven't heard anything.
I
from
just
that.
think like, if the coach is coming up to the leadership group and going, "What is going on out there?" I know I've been in teams like this before. You know what I mean? They go, "What's the problem out there?" There's nothing. There's no this, and this, and this. And where does that come around? The 7. You know what I mean? That's the sort of chat that would have had to be in Adam O'Brien's head, going, what the fuck is going on out there?
But that's hard to say that as well, because then you're putting it that the senior players potentially come.
I'm not sure. I'm just saying that's how things usually get down like that.
I think it could factor in with maybe how he is coached, being able to coach as well. So it might not necessarily be a players thing as well. This is just trying to figure out, like, the history of him. Yeah. He might be really hard to coach. Like, that could be the problem. Where coaches, they have a specific game plan, Mace, where they go, like, this is exactly how I want you to play. But he might, through his time being successful, like, look at all the teams. Like, he's always been fairly successful to begin with. Like, even his time in Super League, Salford were like, they weren't even a thought process over there. I think they went to a Challenge Cup final during his time. He got Man of Steel, and then he goes to Wigan. I think they make a grand final. So the success follows him, and it followed him to Newcastle last year, where they go on a run. But there must be something about either being coachable or being at his communication with the coaches, because there always seems to be a breakdown wherever he goes, and it doesn't take a genius to realise that it must be something.
2 rounds, you don't do that unless you've lost the players, or the coach just doesn't fucking like you, mate. It's pretty simple, because he hasn't played that bad. So it's just like, I don't want you in the team, because you don't gel with the other players. I don't fucking like you. I don't know what it is. Like, it's a coach's decision, right? Or a player's decision after 2 rounds. Yep. This is not 10 rounds. You know what I mean? You're not sitting at like 6 and 4 or 4 and fucking whatever it is, like.
And it's different to ILLIAS too, because ILLIAS, it's the same time span, but ILLIAS, like, they were trending down last year, Souths. So this is like, it's not only 2 rounds for ILLIAS. I feel like this pressure has been building from the back end of last year, where with the Knights, it was the opposite. They were travelling. They were, like, they've got no real excuse, well, not excuse, but their poor start is purely of what they've done in 2024, where I think...
They should have won on the weekend, you know what I mean? That was unlucky. Newcastle game against Cowboys. I know they got, but that should have been put to bed. They should have.
I agree. They should have won that game.
Canberra's like sort of blindsided them and come up there and just
yeah. So,
2 games they could have easily won. I just don't. It's hitting the panic button way too early from Adam O'Brien. And that's what I'm saying. Unless it's a little bit personal and he's lost the players in the locker room
or the coach
after 2 games
and the coach,
like everybody, like you know what I mean. The coach talks to everybody. That's what they do. Good coaches would go, "What's going on out there?" You go to individually. Wouldn't be holding a senior players group or anything like that. Yeah. He would just talk to the main players out there. That's what good coaches do, and go, "What is going on?" And the common denominator would have been him. We're not saying it is him, but that would have been that's what the players would have been said. It would have been leaning against him. Was it Gamble's fault? Is it this fault? Is it like the Nine's fault? No. We just don't know what we're doing because he keeps doing this. He does that. He doesn't dig into the line. Ponga can't get that. Ponga can't get outside the 3-man because he doesn't dig in so much. Things like that pisses players off. Cogger will dig into the line.
So there's my next question. Let's get to Cogger, right? So Cogger's the new guy in. Last year when he was signed to the Newcastle Knights, a lot of people would have assumed that Gamble was going to be the player under the most amount of pressure. But really, like for like in playing styles, Jack Cogger's more of a half and more like when you're looking at it now, was probably always going to put more pressure on Jackson Hastings because they're similar players where there's a specific style. If you do like that with Gamble, then you probably want to play. It wouldn't make sense for Cogger and Jackson Hastings to be playing together, right?
No. So you can't,
So he was always brought as a backup plan.
He's a lot more liked in the locker room. He's one of the boys. You know what I mean? You've got to be one of the boys in the club, especially if you're a 7 and you're running the club, especially up there in Newcastle. You need to be a leader of men 24/7, on and off the field.
Yep.
I'm not sure he's that.
Well, let's get to Lockie ILLIAS now too. Similar situation. It's a tale of two halves because obviously very similar situations and there's some similarities that go with it. But Lockie ILLIAS has now been dropped as well.
Sorry, can I ask? What would you rather, right? A coach pull the trigger, just say if you're a fan or whatever. Coach pull the trigger after 2 rounds or let it go to about 6 or 7 and you're still fucking awful?
Well,
I think Adam O'Brien's learnt that from last year, what he did with Ponga. Bang, put him back. He left him there for 6 or 7 rounds.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? He goes, this ain't working. Go to 1. He ends up winning Dally M. He kills it, right?
Yeah,
so he's gone, you know what? 2 games. This ain't working. I'm not fucking around for 6 or 7 games to be behind the 8 ball and then have to win 10 or 11 games in a row. Do you know what I mean? Like he's gone, okay, this is what I'm going with. Sticking with it. Give you 2 games. Change it. Bang, we'll go for a run here. That's what his mindset is because he fucked up last year with putting Ponga at 6 and he's learned his lesson.
Okay, yeah. I can understand that. That makes a little bit of sense. That's all hindsight as well, though. Like you couldn't say. So just say they go on a run now, and they might, beat Melbourne on the weekend. We'll preview that game, or they won't. Just say if they win 2 games, there's no way of saying whether they would have, lost those games or won those games without Jackson anyway.
But I just think as a coach, when you if what happened last year, I'm just thinking in Adam O'Brien's head, like, well, I stuffed around with Ponga for 6 rounds. We were awful. Fullback. Dally M, playoffs.
Yep. All right, the other one is Lockie ILLIAS, mate, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, but it's not for star recruit Dally M medal winner Jack Whiten. He will stay in the centres. Demetrio and said is opting for handy backup Dean Hawkins, who got Player of the Year in New South Wales Cup last year. How do you see this one, mate?
This is weird. I mean, we said it last year. We've been saying it for a while, and we said it was Sam Walker. Like, is he like the 5th option?
Yeah.
When he's a 7, you got Cook, you got Cody, you've got Cam Murray and Latrell. They're going to get the ball before him. And I watch a lot of things off the ball, right?
Yep.
Every time, just say if they're at the right post, and they could go on a long shift, and then they go right. If ILLIAS doesn't make a line break or set up a try, watch the body language on most of the players. The key players, I'm not going to point them out. Fuck.
Well, you don't.
All that sort of shit, right? Yeah. And it's like, you as a player, just as a young half, you want the backing of your senior players to go, okay, if whatever happens, we stick with it, right? No, like throwing your hands up, going, oh, fuck, we should have went left. Obviously, their left side's their best side, but like, you need to develop Lockie and give him the confidence to go short sides when you have those long 4s and he's got that good shape. You know what I mean? Like, he should be able to see that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm thinking about
I see Cody, I see
From a
Latrell. Whenever
couple of different
if they don't
angles.
get the ball, if they don't get the ball in that long shift where they usually do score, and then Lockie might call it and Cookie might go the way. Fuck! It's just blow-ups, right?
Yeah. And that's natural. That happens at all.
Because just say Shifty used to go some way, you should see the other 6,
Yeah,
Braith and Asta.
Yeah.
Fuck's like the end of the world because they're competitive and they see things, right? But it's like, I think this young kid, he's still young, right? He's 21 years old, 22. He's still developing. So you've got to give him that confidence. Then I look at the other side.
Yep.
He's been dropping fundamental balls, the kick in the back to Tallis, even though he probably should have moved. Tallis shouldn't be there, but he was there, so fucking move out of the way.
Yep.
And just basic mistakes. And defensively hasn't been that good as well. So I'm like, he warrants it more than Jackson Hastings.
Yeah, I agree.
He does.
And I like Lockie ILLIAS too.
And I like Lockie. His ceiling is high, but I just don't. I mean, he got dropped last year, and he ended up coming back pretty good. I'm not sure this is good for his growth or his development.
No,
I would
believe
at
in that
least
either.
given him 10 games. You cannot,
4
as
for me.
again. So I think he would have played himself out of this bit of a slump. It's 2 games, man. You're not in a slump after 2 games. It's 5 games.
Yeah, so with him specifically, and if it is on form and it is you take a few things into consideration for South. Now, Jack Whiten was their big sign, and apart from that, they don't have many players of note that have improved their team. Lockie ILLIAS is 23, and he's played
60 games?
He's played 54 NRL games because I wanted to know that. So at the start of the season, before a ball's kicked, he loses Campbell Graham.
How long's he out for? Sorry.
Pretty much a season,
Oh,
sternum.
no.
Yeah,
Oh.
pretty close to that. You're going to try to get him back at the end of the year.
Danny
So he
Jason
loses
Burnham.
Campbell Graham, who's arguably one of the best centres in the game, was knocking on the door for Origin last
Defensive
year.
centres too.
Jack Whiten is still not there, so that left edge, despite it being star-studded, hasn't looked as crispy. And what you mentioned there about not the left edge, the frustration that the left edge are having if they don't get quality ball is they haven't been icing their plays as well. So that adds to the
This was
frustration.
happening last year.
I'm talking about the first 2 rounds specifically.
Yeah, but even last year they were doing it. Every time he goes, like he's way. Watch what happens.
I know,
But sorry, that's natural too for ball players to fucking blow up when they don't get the ball.
Of course, but this adds to the context of him not icing those plays, what you're talking about. So if you do get limited opportunities and you're not icing it, I think the left edge can deal with it, and they have in the past where remember at the start of the year, they were actually really icing their plays. You think about that Roosters game, they had a tight game where he does that nice little out into Kangaroo and NSW, goes on to play Origin. Campbell Graham was thereabouts because they were actually playing really good footy.
Really good footy.
When it all sort of started to go into shit, specifically around when Campbell Graham got injured, the right edge really struggled, and it hasn't really improved since.
He's one of the best
Therefore,
defensive centres in the game, man.
all the pressure then started to, not only do the left edge want the ball, then they start feeling the pressure to hit because they feel like the right edge isn't hitting. Now, is that fair to Lockie? Probably not. But my big thing for him, and I would have had this mindset going into round 1, start the year, I felt like he was playing with house money before a ball was even kicked. And what I mean by that is he was always the first player that was going to be under pressure in that club, regardless of results, whether it's wins, losses, and whether you think that's fair or not. Latrell is Latrell. Cody Walker's been around. They've both been around and done it for a minute. They've had success and been and played in big games consistently throughout their whole career. Damien Cook is their 9. Cam Murray's the skipper. And we talked about too many cooks in the kitchen, that sort of vibe with the Roosters last year. When you got all these senior players, it's always going to be probably the least capped player or the one without the most runs on the board. So it was always going to be pressure on Lockie. Lockie really should have gone into it with, and what I mean by playing with house money is like, fuck it, I've got nothing to lose. Let's go after this. Whatever the beautiful shape might be to the left, it's almost opposite to Jackson, where Jackson is the guy that touches the ball more than anyone for Newcastle, and Lockie doesn't. So they're completely different
Because
situations.
they got Cam Murray. Because Cam Murray's the one who does the block plays.
Oh, and Latrell and Cody.
And then someone's out the back. You know what I mean? He's never really the guy out the back or anything.
Yeah,
you know?
so my thing was Lockie should have gone after it in the first 2 rounds and gone, fuck it. Like, if we lose, it's going to be me anyway. And then because
Kalama get you early ball, boy. Let's go.
That was the last part of it, and I was going to finish
That's
off
what I
with.
want.
Kalama Tangi didn't even play on the right. He went over to the left round 2. Cam Murray should have been playing through the middle. They stuffed up there, like we talked about in the review, and Cam Murray ends up playing right edge back row. Now, Cam Murray's a great player, he can play anywhere, but it's not going to help out a young half's development to have a guy who's predominantly playing middle and is a way better middle playing on your right edge. With
the coaching there, like JD, you know what I mean? Like he's probably going to cop a fair bit soon, right? I think he's lost the dressing room with the players there. I don't think he can't tell Cody and Latrell what to do. You know what I mean? And this is what I was talking to had a good chat with Rennie yesterday. He's like, it's hard being like an assistant coach, right? I think he was an assistant coach for 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah, he's done his due diligence. He's been around the block and everything like that.
Spoken highly of too, right?
Spoken really highly of. And then all of a sudden, he was under Wayne Bennett for a couple of years. Wayne Bennett leaves him with the team, and then most assistant coaches, like Neil Henry, remember? Neil Henry was one of the best assistant coaches. Everyone loved him. Then got to the first grade position and their whole demeanour changes.
Yeah.
Some players can't cope with that. It's like
some players can't.
Some players can't cope with it. Some coaches can't deal with it because they're all the Mr. Fun-loving. You don't have to do the press conferences. You don't have to do anything. You're just fucking having a good time being assistant coach.
You do video, individual video.
You have a bit of fun, everything with the boys, and next minute you got to be you're the one with the microphone here, sitting in the presses, the depressors, right? Especially when you're losing, and it's not good. So your demeanor changes, and then you're like the locker room's probably going, "What the fuck is wrong with him?"
It's the pressure that changes.
It's the pressure, right? So you change your demeanor, everything gets more serious, jokes, everything like that, and where you're used to, because they had him there for 3 years as the assistant coach, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
At least a couple of years.
So most of those players are there, they're going, the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you dropping this and you're doing that and you're not talking to anyone and all that kind of stuff? It's like, it's not good. There's the difference between guys like Wayne Bennett, Craig Bellamy and all these super coaches, right?
Yeah. How do you flick a switch on that stuff then? Because this is a genuine question because it's not easy.
And it's not easy, right? Mitch, Robbo from the Roosters, he done it well. He was overseas, right? And then he come over here and got the job straight away in 2010. 2011.
Robbo would have been assistant coach for Brian Smith back in the day at the Roosters, and then went over and had a crack. Catalans. I think coaches I was just going to say coaches in the modern day that have gone over, like Ivan Cleary, Trent Robbo, they've all just gone straight into first grade and been okay, haven't they? Yeah. Well, not straight in,
most of them, like Robbo had success straight away. 2013, he won the comp.
Yep.
You don't really know everyone's journey, like the Bellamy's and all those kind of stuff. But Bellamy was assistant coach.
Ivan would have been under Gus at the Roosters, and Sticky was assistant coach under Sticky.
Would have been somewhere there.
Yeah.
Because he debuted in 2006. I didn't know he was that early, like 2006 coaching debut.
Yeah.
But guys like Craig Bellamy was the assistant coach to Wayne.
For years.
Fucking years.
He was a trainer at first, wasn't he?
He was the trainer, then he was the coach. So he was on our Kangaroo tours 2002, 3, 4, like in those before he went to Melbourne.
Yep.
He was the assistant coach to Wayne.
Yep.
And he was a player at Wakefield. You know what I mean? He played most of his career over there, and then he went on the big coaching, went everywhere, So he's done his course and everything like that, and his due diligence, and he's done his time, right? And then he comes from that.
Apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship is the word, yeah. Comes under the tutelage of Wayne Bennett. Wayne Bennett hands him the keys to the Ferrari. You know what I mean? Then his demeanour must have changed.
Just on that. And I think there's a really bad record of coaches that follow Wayne.
Yeah, I told you that, mate. He doesn't. He's very smart.
Well, do you think it's smart? But do you just think it's the pressure that's following one of the greatest coach of all time?
There's a lot of pressure there
because it's the fan bases.
Yeah,
if you don't get results early.
Newcastle, would he leave it with Rick Stone? Sacked after 1 year. Then they got 3 wooden spoons.
Yep. Who was the Dragons?
Dragons.
Mary?
I think it was Mary. Yeah.
Was it Mary?
Someone like that.
Yeah.
Like,
we should have done more.
Griffin or I don't
apologies.
know,
we should have done more research on this, but we're just spitballing here.
It is common knowledge that Wayne, whoever he leaves in charge after him, is not that good a coach because he doesn't want success after him.
Not
because that's what happens when you're the king.
Do you think he's that?
I fucking guarantee it.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee it's like that.
Yeah.
They're like, look, Sir Alex Ferguson from Manchester. Who did he leave in charge? They haven't won fucking anything since. Yeah. Those guys that are up the top, the kings of the coaches, they do not leave their predecessors nothing.
I just think it's just natural that you're always like, if you lose a great coach, it's always going to be tough for the next coach regardless.
But he left them a decent team.
The team was, you're right. Yeah, the team was solid.
Yeah. He didn't take anyone. He planned on taking Latrell or Cody or Cookie. He tried to because he thought he would have got one of them.
Yep.
But he didn't. They stayed loyal.
Trell Mitt wasn't plan B, remember?
Yeah, Trell Mitt.
All right, but this part of it as well, this adds to the Jason Demetrio pressure that Josh Mansour did a podcast on the buy round with James Graham, and basically he talked about a few conversations that he had with Jason Demetrio, which we're alluding to now, that sort of happened a lot with players. And he copped some criticism from Vossi and Brandy specifically on Monday, talking about, Brandy's comments were, why do people go on podcasts and feel the need to tell all? It's a non-story. And Vossi wrote, it's a pile-on towards Jason Demetrio. Josh Mansour replied on X, what pile-on? I was simply asked a question and I answered it from my own personal experience. I never once critiqued his coaching ability. Absolute hypocrisy coming from these two who apparently have never criticised a player or coach. Now, I'll give you an example of what we're talking about with assistant coaches that go to head coaches. And I had this happen to me in 2015. Mace, you were never dropped. So I've got a similar story to Mansour, where in 2015, to start the year for Manly, I knew the writing was on the wall. You can see it in pre-season. I'd gone from, grand final 2013, 2014 started majority of the games, but I also felt it, dropping away at the back of 2014. Tooves calls me. These are sort of conversations. If you haven't seen the podcast, go look at the specific podcast to see Josh Mansour's discussions that he had with Jason Demetrio. But I had it with Tooves, who was same situation, assistant coach and trainer underneath Desi for a while. So Tooves calls me in before round one and he goes,
started round one, sorry.
No, New South Wales Cup. He goes, you're going to be playing New South Wales Cup this year. Mind you, Glenn Stewart and Anthony Watmo
I was there, remember?
For people that don't know, Anthony Watmo and Glenn Stewart have moved on as well. So I was one of the remaining 3 back rows left in the spot. So I completely lost my spot, not only on the bench, all the way out of the team. And I was, deep down, at the time I was still frustrated. So I hit him back with all right, well, what's the reason? And he goes, we need more versatility on the bench. So it was one of those, it didn't make sense because my last game playing for Bulldogs against the Bulldogs the year before, I was playing hooker. And then in certain games leading to the back end of the season, I played hooker against the Bulldogs in the semi-final.
Yeah, good stat.
But I would also play centres, back row, lock, wherever they need me. So,
versatile.
I was probably as versatile as it comes.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation was, and I knew deep down, I'd got complacent. I hadn't been doing the right things at training. I'd probably sinking too much piss after games. We were winning games. We were travelling. My performance had dipped. And deep down I knew, and this is the tough conversations that coaches struggle to have with players sometimes. Tu said he needed versatility. I was arguably the most versatile player that he had in the forward pack.
Let's be honest.
Or I'd use. So, being able to have those conversations when, deep down now I'm older. At the time, I'm fucking 28 years old. I've got one more year left on my contract. So I was fucking furious.
Yeah.
And I imagine this is the same as what Mansour would have been like. But these situations happen a lot, right? And this is what
all the time.
This is what Vossi and Brandy alluding to. And Brandy might not have gone through this, so he can't relate. So when people tell these sorts of stories, same as you, mate, if you haven't been dropped or you don't know what that feeling's like, then don't go judging Josh Mansour because he's asked a question from James Graham.
Yep.
This podcast would have been filmed before round 1 too, I'd imagine, because me and you have both done Jammer's podcast. Yeah. It drops 3 weeks after.
Yeah.
So
get your editing done quicker, mate. Get a Lukey Stowe in you.
Shout out Charlie and Jammer because they load up on their guests, as you know.
Shitload, yeah.
They do 3 or 4 guests sometimes in the same week, and then they drip feed them. Anyway, so that's where that's wrong as well with the pile-on comment from Vossi. But yeah, so that's my situation with it. And Josh Mansour will know as well. He wasn't playing great, and he wasn't necessarily saying that he deserved a spot. It's just the communication that comes with it. And that goes back to the communication we're talking about with coaches. If Tooves realistically should have said, and I had this here's another example, right? I just thought of this on the run. I got dropped at the start of 2012 as well. So basically every 3 years I get dropped after round 1. That's it happens. And it happened at Wakey as well. But Mooks was just it just wasn't good enough. Your performance wasn't good enough, across the board.
Yeah.
He goes, I need more from you. He gave me a few details, and despite me not wanting to hear that, it was actually the thing that I needed to hear. And he didn't have so it doesn't necessarily mean the coaches, he didn't have the greatest record with us as well, or as a head coach. But at least I knew, he sort of looked me straight in the eyes and said, your performance isn't good enough. I'm making a change.
You respect that a lot more, eh?
I did at the time.
No, you do,
I was still, I was pissed off and I didn't agree with it at the time. But now, life after, as we moved down, both occasions I knew I could have played better. I should have been doing more. I knew it was there was the potential of me getting dropped for both occasions because, like I said, with twos, I wasn't playing good at the back end of 2014. But the frustrating thing for me is I ripped in that preseason and I was feeling really good. I actually had a really good end to the back end of the season.
You surprised? I thought you were our back rower.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Was it Buer and Tommy Simons?
No, it was Tommy Simons on the right, Folletti on the left.
That's
right.
Folletti
on the left,
and the lock was
Leary. Leary got over me on the bench as well.
Who was the lock butt?
Jimmy Buer.
Yeah,
Jimmy Buer.
Yeah, with
I think so. I think that was the lineup. But to my point, it's not like a poor me or whatever that happened because I know deep down now, like I wasn't playing well enough and I dropped my standards at the back end of 2014. Yeah. But it's just another example of communication that can be given to players that can better help players, and that I believe it's the difference between good coaches, Wayne Bennett's, Craig Bellamy's,
But they'll give you warnings, right? Like if you played one or two bad games, Wayne would be like, "Hey, come in.
Okay,
this is what you need to work on."
I never got that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the difference between all the great coaches.
Okay, that's another part of it.
And good coaches and then the average coaches, right? It's people skills. Wayne can look anyone in the eye, sit across the room from me and just say, "This is what you need to work on, X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, I'm going to put you back to reserve grade." They're the conversations he has weeks before he even drops you. So he gives you an opportunity so you don't get blindsided and going, "You're not playing this week, ILLIAS, Lachlan. There's no fucking working on work. 2 games and you drop. Hastings, 2 games, you drop. You're not getting told what to work on. Imagine giving him another 2 weeks going, "You're on the chopping board, Lachlan. You're on the chopping board, Jackson. If you don't give me, I'll give you 2 weeks to be the best player out there." I bet you would have fucking changed their whole fucking game.
Okay.
Because they would have been the best 2 players in the next 2 weeks because they know their livelihood and their reputation, their pride's on the line. That's the difference.
Do you think it's a different? Do you think he would have given, because he made 2 big changes for round 2 as well with Sean O'Sullivan? He was the starting halfback. He brings in Katoa.
And it fucking works, doesn't it?
It did. Do you think he would have gave?
He would have said, "Sullivan, you got 1 chance."
Okay.
Because he's had 1,000 chances. He's not a vet. He's not a seasoned vet or anything like that. We'll give you 1 chance. How you go. There's a difference, right?
So if you're a more experienced player, you got a few more runs on the board. Maybe he comes up to you and goes, "Pull your fucking head in."
That's what he does.
Okay,
like he's done that with a lot of other, even senior players. He will give you like even just say middle of the range, going, "All right, well you got 2 weeks. Otherwise you could be playing reserve grade, and then I'll bring you back up." They're the conversation. You respect that. And Vossi's saying, what would he say? Like, why does he have to? Players go on podcasts because Brandy. Because it's a platform where people can open up. You're not going to sit on the fucking Channel 9 or Fox Sports or anything like that. You don't ask all these questions. All you ask is shit questions to players. Podcasts are here so they can say their opinion because it's a conversation, Brandy. Yep. You know what I mean? So like that's why if you ask them a question, they're going to sit there and open up because as I said, it's a conversation. It's not an interview. You know what I mean? So that's why MANSOUR felt the need to answer the question. He was just being honest.
He feels comfortable.
He felt comfortable.
Yep.
He didn't. And Jam is a great interviewer.
Yeah,
he'll ask
really
these
good.
questions where he can. He'll segue into all that kind of stuff. He'll understand. He understands the history of what happened there, and and then he wanted Source to come out and just say, "This is what happened." How do you get called out of fucking named in the side and then get called in captain's run and say you're not playing?
Yep.
Things like that would rub any player the wrong way.
Yep.
The way Source handled it was like a fucking proper OG. Respect to him. Because any other player would not handle it like that.
Well, he did say his head fell off, and you can understand why.
Well, I don't think he didn't. Some players are getting in the coach's grill.
Yeah.
If it's like that, you don't do captain's run and think that you're not playing the next day.
Yeah.
So he just explained that. You know what I mean? So like MANSOUR, I love that. I love that podcast.
Yeah.
Well done, Jammer, and well done, MANSOUR. But that's what. Hey. The landscape's changing, boys. You know what I mean? It's fucking podcasts. Do we watch Channel 9 or Fox or anything like that, or listen to fucking Triple M and hear any decent interviews? They're only just analysing the game.
Yeah, it's a different. The difference between, and like Brandy's an older player as well, and look, I work at SEN too. They do the morning shows. I do some work for them. It's a different conversation because it's a different demographic that you're talking to as well. Yeah. Like podcasts, we talked about the swearing situation. We swear a little bit on here. You couldn't do that. I don't do that on SEN because we're not allowed to do that on SEN. When I get guests on for SEN a fair bit, but I ask them very generic
questions because it doesn't bother you.
Well, I'm very careful with relationships with media managers and the way the clubs are perceived. So you've got to be careful with what questions you ask and make it as PC as possible, because It's a different. It's
boring as shit radio. That's why.
It's fuck. I do radio.
hell.
Mate. It's look. I do. There's a different.
Worst 3 hours of my life.
It's a different audience as well. So you got to take that into consideration. But when you do podcasts, it depends on the comfortability that the guest has got. And Jammer does his homework. He works really hard. Like some of the stuff that he brought up in the podcast when we sit and just having a chat, I was like, oh shit, I didn't know you knew that stuff. So if you put in the work as a podcast host, you get really good detailed answers.
That's why he gets those answers, and he's a very easy man to talk to.
All right, mate, let's get on to a couple of, the two biggest names on the market, we mention them at the moment, are brothers, Terrell and Taylor May. Terrell playing for the Sydney Roosters, Taylor playing for the Penrith Panthers. Now, it has emerged as the new club that's favourite to sign both of them because it is believed that they want to be signed as a package. Terrell May come out on the Bloke in the Bar podcast and said that he basically wants to play with his brothers. So there's been a bit of a hold-up, I believe, with these negotiations while these brothers and managers and clubs figure out how they get them together. Now, the club that's apparently favourites now to sign him, even though the Roosters are really close to re-signing Terrell apparently, is the Dragons. Now, Shane Flanagan, he hasn't been gun-shy in attempting to woo talent to the club over the past few months and are keen to have another crack at a talented forward off contract at season's end, and they're happy to chat with Taylor as well. Where do you think the May brothers end up? And I guess, so the perceived money that they've been talking to clubs about is Taylor both wants apparently roughly around 500K. Taylor's 22 years old, Terrell's 24, and Tyrone is also playing in the UK for Hulk AR, and they all want to play together. So I'm not too sure what his price would be, but do you think the Dragons would be interested in signing Tyrone if it meant they could get Taylor and Terrell?
I think the hold-up is the older brother because the shit that happened at Penrith. I swear to God, that'd be it, because you're looking at one of those two other brothers, and if that shit didn't happen a couple of years ago, I'm not even going to mention it, like I think all three brothers would be signed by now, by any club.
Yeah, because
you've got to be willing to put up with that shit from the fans, from your fan base members, all that kind of stuff, other teams, all that sort of shit. So if a club's ready to and willing to forgive and forget, then they'll get all three.
What about the young ascending talent specifically of Taylor and Terrell?
I fucking love those two.
Like 500K, are you happy to pay overs? You see the trajectory of those players. So like it's 500K is a lot of money, but it depends the way you look at it. Both these two players are at really good clubs that are probably going to be successful this year, going to go really deep into the competition. A lot of
average players on 600 or 700, mate.
So are you willing to throw an extra, just say if it's been reported that they want 500. If you're a Dragons team, do you go 1.2?
How old's the young kid from the Roosters?
Terrell May's 24.
He can bust out like 70 minutes in the middle.
I think he played 60 straight on the weekend.
But that's what I'm saying. So you can't say he could probably play 80 if you push him, right? He's got a big motor. You give him good minutes, obviously, good hit-ups, finds his front, tackles well, doesn't miss any, very effective.
That's top-tier front row.
That's top-tier front row, and he's 24. So that's where he's coming into his peak right now. So if you can get him for 500, fucking get him.
That's a steal.
It's a steal. I'm not saying he's going to play Origin or anything like that. I don't know that sort of ceiling, but I know he's going to be a genuine 10-year player as your front rower. He's come through a great system at the Roosters, taught all the right things with Hargraves, Lindsay Collins. He's got Spencer Lenu there.
Yeah.
You know, like iron sharpens iron, always say they would be going at training all the time.
Specifically with big boys, it does.
Yeah. It's hard to get a big man who can play that many minutes and be a really effective defender and everything and he's got that. And he's only going to get better. He's only played 14, 15 games.
And you seen on the weekend, you wanted Jared to start, but he's forcing Robbo's hand. He's playing that well that Robbo has to play him. And not only does he play, I believe he played the first 60 minutes before he got a spell.
He fucking didn't come off.
Yeah.
I was like, when's this big boy going to come off? He's got a good motor, man. So like that's what you want from that's the only knock on some of these young kids. They can't get more than 10 or 15 minutes out in the middle if you're talking about the younger kids that I was talking about with the Bulldogs or anyone who's playing in that level. You can't bring a kid up from flag. It's hard to get a big boy and just go, here, you're ready for first grade.
In first grade, you've got to be able to play a minimum of 30 if you want to be considered elite.
Yeah,
a minimum. To be
in one stint.
Be considered an elite front rower. What about Taylor, mate? Same thing.
I like him.
Yeah.
He's a gun. I like both of them. They're worth whatever they're asking the market.
500, 500?
Yeah, it's not much, man.
Yeah, I don't think it is
fucking
either.
big in 2005. Nothing now. You're talking guys on 1.2, 1.3 mil.
If you could get him for a package at 1.2 for both of them, 6'6", fuck, that's a good
can
deal.
play, bro.
Lock them up for 3 or 4 years too.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be fucking unders in a couple of years. I see their projections for both of them being elite.
They're like that. They're like that. You know, I know a lot of average players, man. I know they're on about 600 or 700.
Yeah, there are some
very average players.
Yeah. All right, mate. Speaking of Taylor May, his team is the team that's up first on Thursday night. We have the Penrith Panthers versus Brisbane Broncos, and there are some big outs in this game, mate. So the two big boys are missing from the front. James Fisher-Harris is out. Lindsay Smith goes into the starting lineup. And onto the bench comes Luke Garner. That's the big change. James Fisher-Harris succumbs to that injury. As for the Broncos, they also lose their big boy and their skipper and half. So Jock Madden is the new name that's replacing Wren. And we've got Fletcher Baker into the starting lineup. And we finally get to see our man Xavier Willison, who comes onto the bench there, mate.
Yes.
Our friends and partners at the tab. I'm just getting the odds now. One sec.
Penrith's got to be favourites, isn't it?
Yep. Penrith are favourites at $1.27. The Brisbane Broncos are $3.80. And the line is 10.5. Mace.
Big.
It is the 2023 grand final replay, but Suns, huge players, mate. Suns front rowers.
Payne Haas.
Suns and Forces.
0. I would have loved to see Fisher-Harris and Payne Haas and Leota and that go at it. But it missing fucking Adam Reynolds is the main one as well, mate. He's their little general. He gets them around the park. Jock Madden's had some good games, but he's not Adam Reynolds. Ezra Mann needs to step up proper.
Yep, for sure.
But there's their front rowers. I think they're going to get they'll get dominated in the pack. Corey Jensen and Fletcher Baker, they're decent players, but Leota, has he surpassed Fisher-Harris? They're on par, man. They're on par.
Yeah.
Moses is right there with him. It's great. They're the two best 1-2 punch in the game.
Yep.
Lindsay Smith's a big body. He does a good job. Similar body build to Fletcher Baker. The back row's pretty even. You know, like your Carrigan and Yo, two best locks in the game. Ricky and Martin, pretty good back rowers. Pia Cura and Sorensen. That's a pretty even back row there. So I'm leaning towards Penrith because Payne Haas is simply the best forward in the game, and Adam Reynolds is the top 5 half. He just kicks that good and controls that team. It's too big a loss.
You're losing 20 carries and basically
like
220
Nathan Cleary was out, then it'd be even. I'd be going, oh shit, what's going to happen?
Okay. So what about the start though, mate? 10.5. Do you think Penrith are going to beat them by more than 10.5?
I think so, yeah.
Big number.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not massive. Like something 14, I reckon.
Okay.
13 plus.
All right. Sweet. Just enough. Maybe a little bit. Late
tries.
Okay.
Just to really dig it in.
I'm going to go the Broncos with the start, mate. Not head-to-head. I like the 10.5. I think this game is going to be a real defensive battle. I think this is going to get very physical despite being a few players that are missing right in the meat and potatoes of the forward pack. I'm expecting a big game from two players from the Broncos. Paddy Carrigan, what he does without Payne Haas, whether he's able to get that same momentum, he really gets his other forwards involved. And then Ezra Mam. He's had a very... It's been a very...
interrupted start.
First couple of weeks for him.
Yep.
He's looked a little bit... I think he was carrying a niggling injury coming into the season that hasn't helped now.
Okay.
If we are to see the projection and the money that he just got to be a star moving forward, this is a great opportunity for him to really take on the game. So I'm going the Broncos with 10.5 start. And if Ezra Mam's having a game, therefore... I'm hoping Selwyn Cobbo has a game.
What's
and
that pay?
my anytime try scorer.
For to start, what's that pay?
As in to start. Yeah. It's $1.90 either way all the time. Yep. So what you do is it's a coin flip. The handicap is always to bring in the other team that you perceive that is going to struggle or be a little bit further away. Right. So I'm going to Broncos, mate, and my anytime try scorer is Selwyn Cobbo. And at the tab, I think this is very juicy. Despite I don't think there's going to be many tries scored, but I did nail it last week at Penrith with Sean Lane. I got some value. I got Selwyn Cobbo, $4.50. He's been breaking so many tackles and been thereabouts over the first couple of weeks without being able to ice a try. So
he's looking dangerous. Very dangerous.
Maybe Selwyn can get one for us. All right, mate, moving on to Friday. We got the Warriors at home to the Canberra Raiders. Relatively unchanged except for a big in. Well, he was named last week and then didn't play. Wade Egan in the 9 jersey. Yeah. That swayed your decision last week, Mace. It'll probably sway your decision again in this, I'm gathering. Other than that, it looks to be as per last week. And as for the Raiders, they lost the winger. They lost Sebastian Chris to a HIA. Oh, okay. So Albert Hopewadi moves from the wing into the centres where he played round 1. Nick Kotrick is the new guy on the wing. And they get Elliot Whitehead back into the back row with Zach Hoskin, the unfortunate casualty.
That sucks. He's been the best. He's been one of the best players in the comp. I said last week, Elliot Whitehead, highly respected down there.
Correct.
And he's a gun, so Zach has to earn his stripes down there. I can't see the Warriors going 0-3. I can't. But that team's a bunch of dogs over there. And they're full of confidence. I'm going to go the Warriors simply because I just don't see them going 0-3. They should have won last week. You know, like they've showed so much potential. I hope it's not one of these years where they just keep getting beat like that, turning up and playing good for 60 minutes and the other side just getting them at the end or, you know what I mean? Like even that Cronulla game. Cronulla game's first 20 minutes I've ever seen, the best I've ever seen the Warriors play.
I agree.
And I was just like, these guys
they look like they're going to win by 40.
Yeah. End up getting run over by Cronulla, out physicaled in the middle. Then last week, they were down 18-6. They showed some resilience, got back into the lead, then lost an 8-point lead with 7 minutes to go. It's fucking not good signs. But I'm thinking home ground, Friday night,
desperate.
drums pumping.
They're going to black it out.
I hope they black it out, and I think they might get Canberra. But Canberra is that yucky team that you just don't want to play right now.
Well, I think you're going to agree with me on this then.
I could be swaying myself.
I like the plus 7.5.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Warriors are going to blow them out. What do you think?
No way.
Yeah.
No one's blowing Canberra out.
Do you like the plus 7.5 for a start with the Raiders? Yeah, so do I, mate. For a lot of the reasons, I think this is going to be a dogfight. The best plays for these teams are when they're playing well through the middle. That's why I'm going another roughie to start. The start of round 3, I'm going some value. I got the Raiders plus 7.5. And my anytime try scorer, and I think there are going to be some tries through the middle for both teams. I'm going Joseph Carpenter.
I was looking at him. I knew you were going to go. He's been close. He's been running really good lines there. Big Papa, especially when he's been starting. I'm looking at that forward pack now. Papa, Levi, Tapane, Huddy Young, Whitehead, Smithies. That's a fucking bunch of dogs. Fanua Blake, Egan, Barnett, Ford, Capewell, Torhu, Harris. This is a very, very even game, mate. This is killing me.
I'm going to be back in a couple of, I think that's going to be played through the middle. I think this is going to be a proper dogfight, and I'll be back in a couple of the middles, responsibly, of course. Maybe a little play, a little $10 here, a little $10 there. But I like Tarps, and I don't mind adding Michi Barnett in this game as well. I think they're going to want to play front door. So I think that's good value for a little anytime if you're gambling responsibly.
Usually the 6 o'clock Friday game sucks. There's not a bad game.
There's not a bad game.
There's never a bad game.
Not this early in the year. Every team thinks they're a shot. Well, this one probably would have been the game for most people for the game of the round. The Sydney Roosters are at home to the South Sydney Rabbitohs at Allianz Stadium. A few changes for both teams with who was dropped.
Obviously.
No. Oh, yeah, sorry. Luke Keary's out. Sanders Smith comes in for the Roosters. Yeah. I knew there was a change in the back line there somewhere. Luke Keary, HIA last week. And your man Siwa Wong was dropped, Mace. Nat Butcher comes into the starting lineup. And Angus Crichton and Connor Watson move on to the bench. So Connor Watson will be covering Sandon Smith, who plays the 14 normally, and Angus Crichton is the new name in the 17 jersey. Look at the extended bench for the Roosters. Michael Jennings, Egan Butcher, Billy Smith, Zach Docker-Clay, and Siwa Wong.
Jenko's back. Good on him. You know he's on $2.99.
Is he?
Get him his first. Get him his 300. He deserves it.
He'll get it.
Yeah, Siwa Wong.
I didn't know he was on $2.99.
Yeah, he's on $2.99.
As for the Rabbitohs team...
Hargraves is 300th. Yeah. Well done, big boy. That's fucking massive. Yeah, that is huge. Mate. Well done, big man. It's fucking he's been around the game, since 2009? I think he debuted with Manly.
I think so,
And he's just been a tearaway ever since. And what a great role model off the field as well. He's a fucking great man, great father, great role model for the Roosters. On and off the field, he hasn't done anything wrong. All he's done is play the game hard and fair.
Tell you what, when he has done some wrong, it's on the field. So to get 300,
That's it, yeah.
no, but like to get 300 games
should
with
be on
being
360.
suspended by 50 games or whatever it's been. No, he probably hasn't even been suspended as that. Have a look at how many times Jared Hargraves has been suspended.
He hasn't been suspended as much as the Donsky.
You might be, yeah, the Donski's the OG.
Donsky's is 70 games.
No way it's 70 games.
I think it's 70.
Greg Bird, I think's up there. Birdie's
I
up
think
there.
it's Luke O'Donnell, and I've played with those two psychos. And I can see why.
As for the Rabbitohs, a couple of changes. Obviously, we talked about Lockie ILLIAS. Dean Hawkins comes in for him as the halfback, and they also made a change to the edge, moving Cam Murray back to the middle. Jacob Host comes on to the edge. And who misses out because of that? One of the big boys, Shaq Mitchell, is out of the squad now. So how do you see this game going, mate?
I think it's hard. I reckon
it's very hard.
A pissed off Latrell, which I think he is very, very dangerous. South have got that team to beat anyone on their day. Usually. But then I'm looking at this forward pack, right? I'm looking at Hargraves and Lindsay Collins, Nat Butcher, Tupanua, Victor Radley. You know, Jacob Host, Kaloma Tungi, Murray, Moale, Totola, Cook. I think the Roosters, just with I know how much respect and how much he holds there at the Roosters with Jared playing his 300th. I think they'll go to that extra level. Unless Latrell just fucking turns one on by himself, him and Cody, and puts a clinic on. But they are very good defensively out wide, the Roosters.
Have you played with anyone in real big, massive milestones? I've played with Hindy's 300th game. It actually takes a lot out of you all throughout the week. We weren't.
I get it because it's all testimonials and all that sort of shit. I don't know.
We weren't the Grouses team to begin with that year. Obviously, that was 2011.
250s and 200s and heap of those.
Yeah, it's quite an emotional build up. So there's pros and cons to it. Is my point.
Yeah, well, Melbourne's the best at milestone games. Yeah, they never get beat. The Roosters haven't really had any 300 games apart from Mini, I think. Mini's probably their only one.
Orbo?
Maybe Orbo.
Did Orbo get 300?
I think so, maybe. But Hargraves, he holds a different energy in that team, man.
Yeah.
I think, and especially because he's in the middle. He controls the energy.
Yeah, okay.
He gets out there and he plays as hard as him. So when you see the big boy going at it, straight at Totola's chest, straight at Moale and everything like that and pumping everything, you're going with him. When you're a fullback and stuff like that, you don't control the narrative. You don't control the energy. You don't do anything. Halfbacks, all that sort of shit. Heine was probably sitting on an edge his whole fucking... for about 30 minutes, not getting a hit up.
Don't get Hindy. Hindy.
You know we love you, Hindy. You know what I mean? It's different. But when you're in the middle, when you control that sort of shit, like he just, he's going to go after it. His 300th game. It's a fucking big thing.
Do you see?
I just think, and I don't think the Souths are playing that well.
You might remember this before we move off quickly. You should have seen how we lost that game too. We played Penrith. And that was when they spread it back side to side to side, put in a grubber kick from one side of the field, and Michael Jennings scored on the hoot of the beaters. That was his 300th, bro. That was his 300th. Yeah. So, just on the tab, have got the Sydney Roosters favourites, $1.65, South to $2.25. The line is 3.5, Mace, which is a very tough line for all the punters out there to.
Roosters all the way.
It's under a try. You basically think that it could be a penalty goal or a field goal in it if you do take South.
Roosters 13+.
Roosters 13+.
I think it's going to be. I reckon they'll be pissed off. Their start of the year hasn't been that good.
Whenever you do this, you always throw me because you're pretty decent at these. When I think that it's a crazy statement, they always end up hitting.
Yeah, I know they're a little bit down, and you can just Jack White and being back, the combinations ain't going to be there. You know what I mean? Latrell, it's up to Latrell and Cody Walker.
Okay. Well, that's
you know what I mean? And their defense on that right edge is fucking top notch, the Roosters. They don't really go right.
Joe Manu's edge.
Yeah. He's fucking good luck getting around him.
It'll be, still Sam Walker on that edge.
And then you got, who's the winger there? Dom Young?
Dom Young.
Yeah. AJ usually skins him. He's fucking fast. Very fast. And very long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Trying to get him over
you want to get over the top?
Downs.
He's knocking that shit down. They'll check, release. Joey Manu's one of the best defenders in the game. Don't let that slip. And they're not really going to go right.
You wouldn't think so.
No. Well, what are you going to do? Then
you've got to
deal with Joey Akuso Suali'i and Toops.
But then you got Sandon Smith, probably more of a target than.
Yeah, he's going to be a target. So you got to go at the edges there. That's where the combinations between.
Got to go at the halves.
Cam Murray and his back rowers have got to come into play, right? when he's got to go at Sandon Smith or Sam Walker. That's where your joy's going to be, with hosts running those lines, Cam Murray running those block plays, letting him do his overs, squaring up, and it's always on the outside of those posts. Those plays that South did last week, that play is always on.
Havili play.
So watch out. And you don't think Roosters be doing any fucking... The Roosters will be doing video on that all week. And that's what I said last time on Monday. It's about the spaces, right?
Yep.
You got spaces, and they got an OG pack, right? They don't usually get caught like that. But that's going to be their plays. That's where they'll score tries. You're not going to go around the Roosters.
Yep.
Go fucking on the edge. You're not going to go through the teeth of them either. You hardly ever do that against teams. You got Lindsay, you got Jared Hargreaves, you got Brandon Smith who hits you hard, and you got Victor Radley. It's just a little bit wider of that. That'd be the game plan anyway.
All right. I'm on Souths plus 3.5, and I expect a bounce back from a couple of people that we mentioned. I'm going Cody Walker anytime for $4. I think it's a game that now that Lockie ILLIAS has been dropped, a lot of pressure now starts to filter into the senior players. I said all the pressure was on Lockie. Now he's done. Yep. Now you start to feel the pinch as a senior player. All right, mate. The next game, mate, is your Dogs versus Titans at home at Belmore. And this is my Levels Bets Friends special. Not going fully against you this week, mate.
But you did. You won last week. 13.
No, I didn't. Nico Hines didn't score.
But you got him 13 plus?
I had him 13 plus.
Was that all into one?
It has to multi up together. So for this week, mate, I'm going the Dogs Titans total points unders 44.5. I think both these two teams, Titans without a win in only one game, Dogs without a win in their two games. I think they're going to really tighten up and want to win this game in a defensive battle. I know what Desi's like. I know what Cam Serrata's background is like. So let's go under 44.5. But I love the young tearaway on the wing for the Gold Coast Titans. And this is very reliant on if Kieran Foran ends up playing.
He's playing.
Lafiana CANBERRA to score in the first 60 minutes. Now, you can get a price of $6 from our traders at the tab with a max bet of $25. And remember, you can find that in the Levels Bets Friends channel on the tab app. So come and jump in.
I'm backing my boy Blake Balake Wilson.
Balake Wilson. That's the edge I'm attacking. That's the edge I'm attacking.
I know you are.
Mace, very hard to split this game. Again, how do you see your Dogs going this week?
Yeah, the Titans very good in attack, right? Defensively, they got a lot of holes in their defensive line, but you know, having that man Kieran Foran back just settles everything down.
Let me quickly, I forgot about the lineups, mate, to go through them. So no changes in the back line for the Bulldogs team. Front row, Liam Knight's in for Pawasa Farmasuli, who hasn't recovered from that HIA. It was a gruesome HIA, by the way. Therefore, he's the new in. He comes all the way in to the starting lineup. As for the Titans, Kieran Foran didn't play round one. He's back in the 6. Tom Weaver misses out. And there was one more I am missing if it comes to me, but I think no, it's actually as per program. Keenan Palacia might start. I think he started.
Do you know why Wayne Bennett used to make sure people's hair wasn't all Larry and mullets and all that sort of shit? Because when you play shit and you look ordinary,
it stands out.
It stands out.
You worried about
Liam Knight better have man of the match.
I said this about Tino Fasil-Malawi.
Yeah, but Tino's Tino.
But no, he wasn't Tino at this point. Me and Normie, we're both from the old school, right? And me and Normie were watching Melbourne Storm, and Tino was a young tearaway at that point. He'd only played 10 games, and he had a couple of errors. And I said the same thing. I said, that's why you don't you don't dye your hair.
Stands out.
You don't dye your hair blonde. He turned out all right.
Yeah,
now, I'm not saying fucking Liam Knight's Tino Fasil-Malawi, but
if you're in the front row and you have blonde hair like that,
you better play fucking.
You better have a man of the match performance. That's all I'm saying, Liam.
Yeah,
because that's what brings pressure, man.
The tab have got the Bulldogs at $1.77. The Gold Coast Titans at $2.05. Mace, you don't want to talk on this game. Man. Obviously, you're on the Bulldogs every time, every day of the week. I'm going the Titans with the plus 1.5. I just think I like them head-to-head regardless. So if you're going to give me a point,
too, man.
There could be a Matty
Even though that is not our, we don't bash the shit out of any team there. Our record's not that good.
Yeah, okay.
But it is at Belmore, so it does help.
Yeah, your record wouldn't be great anywhere in the last couple of years anyway. So, if I get beaten by a Matty Burton field goal, I'm still alive. So I'll take the plus 1.5 on the Titans. And CANBERRA is my anytime try scorer.
Oh, he's quick too, that little bugger.
The next game, I feel like this is a tricky game to pick.
I'm done with St. George.
You done? All right. St. George Illawarra Dragons take on the North Queensland Cowboys at Nostrata at 5:30 on Saturday. Jesse Marshke is in for Jacob Little, who had a couple of HIAs last week, so I think that may be the reason. What's his name? Sorry, not what's his name. Jack DeBella moves up to the front row. With Luciano going into the starting lineup.
I don't mind
Tom Eisenhuth is playing lock, and Raymond Fatela-Mariner goes to the bench. We still have Viliami Fafita who comes back into the team, and a couple of players miss out on the backs. But the big news is still Zach Lomax is unhappy there, mate, at the Dragons, and he has made it clear that he's unhappy, but Ben Hunt still believes he's going to rip in. And there was actually news throughout the week, mate. So I don't know if you've seen this, but apparently Madge actually reached out to Zach Lomax and said, you're being considered on the wing. So that's something that we mentioned.
That's something that'll make you play wing. You said that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not over the Dragons. I just thought last week was just very, very poor from what they showed in round 1. 38-0. I'm like, fuck. Maybe if it's from Penrith or some top tier team.
Yeah.
Not the Dolphins.
Not the Dolphins.
Not the Dolphins.
Respectfully to the Dolphins.
They're a good team, the Cowboys as well. They found out a way to win last week. They probably should have got beaten.
No Hylam Lukey for them, mate, with that ankle injury. Kulikefu Fine Fuiaki comes into the starting lineup. Onto the bench, the new name is Jack Jasewski. They've got some good depth up there, mate. Tom Chester, Thomas McKayle's still not playing for the Cowboys.
What they were trying to attack is their left centres in Sully and Ravalawa. Their defensive area. They missed a few little and I think Drinky will really try and exploit that.
Yeah, that's
he's got
his
that
edge.
mad left to right.
That's his edge.
They'll be either, if they're disconnected in any way, he'll exploit it.
We talked about it after the round 1 performance. When Moses Sully carries the ball like he does, he turns that edge from a perceived weakness defensively into a strength because it's just that fatiguing.
Yeah.
But Cowboys are just going to keep coming. They've got that young Zach Labour.
Would be up against Val or Labour?
He'll be up against Labour.
Labour, yeah, he defends all right. But I'm
hoping
I think they're going to go that way because Sully's big and strong and everything but he's not the fittest of centers, right? He does look fit this year, but like even Ravalawa, he's up. Like they sometimes look disconnected, and if one person can exploit that, it's Drinky.
Yeah,
their forwards are going to go forward. It's going to be a tough battle, but it's going to be one with the Tuolungis, the Deardens, the outside backs will be scoring some tries. Val Holmes, I'm expecting one of his best games.
He's going to bounce back.
He'll bounce back. Him and Jack Burke. See, Jack Burke can easily nullify most centers, and he probably will. But as long as Val gets through the game, no drops, does everything right. So.
My thought process when a team specifically plays this bad, I'm expecting to bounce back. I'm going the Dragons plus 6.5, mate.
But the Cowboys be going, we played so bad as well. That'd be their mindset. How they have played awful.
True.
They'll be like, I played awful. I need to make up for it. His whole mindset's probably, we lost. Oh, yeah, we won as a team, but I didn't play to my potential. I'm supposed to be the best center in the world.
Yep. I'm going the other centre though, mate. I'm going the left centre. Moses Sully, $4 anytime, marking up on Labour and Tommy Dearden.
Yeah,
Moses Sully was very underwhelming on the weekend. I'm expecting a bounce back game from that edge. I can understand your thought process.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some tries down that edge. But
Both edges, I reckon.
I think Moses is going to be coming at Zach Labour. It's just as much as they're going to be coming at him.
I agree. I just think the difference would be Drinky.
Yep. All right, mate. The West Tigers versus the Cronulla Sharks is the last game at 7:30 on Saturday at Leichhardt Oval. The Tigers have made a change in the halves. Aiden Caesar is the halfback, filling in for Bud Sullivan. Juzzy Olam plays his first game of the season.
Filling in for Bud Sullivan or Sullivan's dropped?
Or replacing or dropped.
He's at 14 now. Okay.
Yep. Juzzy Olam is in the centres for his first game. He had a HIA on the in the last trial, I believe. That sort of hampered his pre-season. Fanua Pole, he's at lock. Jaden Sullivan goes back to 14, and the bench is relatively the same. As for the Sharks, arguably the form team of the competition to start the season, they are as per programmed.
Jack Williams in for Niokora. How many weeks did he get?
Oh, pardon me. Niokora, yeah. Jack
How many
Williams,
weeks?
I think he got 2. I think he got 2.
Jeez, he's lucky. He's lucky he didn't connect with that head.
Early guilty plea, I think.
Yeah. I know there was no malice in it, but he's got to watch himself for that because he can hit.
Third degree, Billy Burns comes onto the bench.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I don't mind the Tigers, right? But I just don't. They're coming up against a red hot Cronulla team who defends their asses off. They work hard together. They all they run fucking hard. And then you got Nico Hines who just does not stop until the 80th minute. He's so fit and he just keeps testing you and testing you. And you got Trindle just doing his own thing. They're back 5 Mulatalo. And fucking Katoa, they just non-stop running at you. They don't stop. And then Will Kennedy's in some good form, man. Some big plays against the Dogs last week. I like the Dolph, Kafusi. I like their rotation, you know. I don't mind Finucane and Royce Hunt. Hazelton, Billy Burns coming off the bench. I don't mind that.
The Tab have obviously Cronulla are favourites at $1.27. West Tigers are $3.80. The line is 11.5. Do you think the Tigers can, the Sharks can beat them by more than 12?
Yeah, easily. I mean, the forward pack. Look at the forward pack: Stefano, Clem, Papali'i, Bateman, and Bolle.
They need to step up.
Their bench: Sullivan, Seafarth, Twal, and Fainu.
There's too many good players in that pack for them to toss up what they did against a really good Raiders pack. I'm expecting to bounce back. I'm going to go the Tigers plus 11.5. Okay. I don't think they can beat the Sharks, but I think that forward pack needs to step up from. That was their first appearance in 2024.
I think they'll be better.
And it was super underwhelming. Yeah. A couple of their OGs need to step up. Uppy needs to lead the way, and I think they can keep it close enough for long enough. And I'm going to double down. I had Dream Buller last week. I'm going to go Dream Buller again, $3.75 anytime.
I liked it when Caesar come on for Sullivan because he straightened it up a little bit. It was attacking the line. Sullivan went nowhere near the line. And defenses are just too good. If you're not going to dig in, you're not going to get anyone. No one's going to come near you, and then no one gets space on the outside. Yeah. If you're petrified and you're just passing the ball real early, it doesn't do shit.
Lachlan Galvin was going after it, wasn't he?
Yeah, Galvin. He was like, how can a kid on his debut get the lion's share of the ball and just take him on? Like, you know, it's his first game. I love that kid. I just love the way that he went after it. I like the Bolle, the 13. He was good off the bench. Yeah, I think if they get their shit together, man, they'll be all right. But I just think Cronulla's a pretty good team.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, Sunday, first game, 4 p.m, the Scope Cup, Parramatta Eels at home at CommBank against the Manly Sea Eagles.
This is the game.
There's a change in the outside backs. Bailey Simonson hasn't recovered from his HIA, so Blaze Talangi, the young tearaway who plays... He's named in the centres. He's named in the centres. I dare say maybe Morgan Harper plays centres and he moves to the wing. Yeah, right. The forwards are as per. Luca Moretti's the new name on the bench for Brendan Hands. And, yeah, Joe Offengower is named at 16, but there's a good chance he starts with Junior, who's come off the bench in both games so far. As for Manly, they lost Tommy Talau, so Raymond Tui Malo Vanga comes onto the wing. And apart from that, Jakey, Carlon, Waddell, Bullymore, Nathan Brown. Nathan Brown's going to be up for this game, that's for sure.
Should be good. I don't mind. This is the game of the round, I reckon.
Yeah, so do I.
The full deck.
And the tab can't split it, mate. $1.85 Parramatta, $1.95 Manly, so basically even money.
Can't split it either.
Plus 1.5 is the line.
Killing me. I want to see Mount Paseka and Alloy go at it with Paulo and Campbell Gillard.
Another test.
Start Paulo, please. I don't mind him coming off the bench, and I said in situational football. Yep. But sometimes
this is another situation.
Yeah, like last week was a situation when you should have started him. You know, I know Parramatta got off to a decent start, but I need him to go at the Fisher, Harrison, Leota. Even though he's, it's hard because he's killing it on both sides. You start him, he kills it. He comes off the bench, he kills it. So it's like fuck. You know, it's up to Junior. I think Junior, how he feels he's more, you know, valuable to the team, I reckon.
Depends how he's liking the role.
Yeah, you know, I think if he's liking it, then he's going to be coming off the bench. But they're going to go at it. Look at that team, man. That is a team. I'm going to go Manly. I just think they're on a bit of a tear. I know Parramatta's got a decent side, but I like the outside backs for Manly.
Yeah, so do I.
And I like their bench.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got like a tradesman-like bench at the moment, don't they? Who I think are going to improve as the season goes on.
Mate. They're all role players. They're very good.
This was the exact same game and price and try scorers last week, mate. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I hit on both last week. Manly plus 1.5 at $1.95. It's actually coming to $1.80 now. I put this on last night. It was $1.95. Yeah. And I'm going that try scorer as well. Tolu Kola, $3.50 any time for Tolu Kola is value for me, mate. Yeah, anything else I wanted to attack in that game? Yeah, I think there's going to be heaps of points in this game. I think if it's a fast track and it's a sunny game, I think there's going to be plenty of points.
Who's marking Biggie Schmole?
Dill Brown.
Is it Dill Brown? Yeah. He defends all right. Yeah, but he's just going to get attacked right foot, left palm, fucking
Ches wasn't even hiding last week. He was just throwing it to him.
Just throw it to him, mate. Early ball. Like, you know, because he can do it all. He's easily the best back row on the comp at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. All right, mate, the last game, Newcastle Knights versus the Melbourne Storm. Heaps of outs in this game, some forced, some through injury, and some through suspension. Kalen Ponga is obviously a fullback, but the big change, Jack Cogger. He's the new halfback for Jackson Hastings, which we talked about at the start of the game. Jaden Brayley makes his first appearance. He goes into the 14 jersey. And Will Price is thereabouts in the 19 as well. As for the Storm, they're missing Jerome Hughes for that suspension of pushing the referee. Whatever you think about that, I think that's a tough call for the Melbourne Storm.
That's awful.
He was in his way. The referee, you don't want to see a ref get pushed out of the way, but I don't completely...
Going back to, the Titans, the Bulldogs and Cronulla game. Annesley come out and said that's a try from kick out.
Yeah.
Get out of the way, ref.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? You just fucking disappear? Like, you can't, you get pushed out of the way because you're in the way, and then you're in the fucking way, and then you call no try. Make your mind up.
I was saying this to you last
I hate it, mate.
I was talking about it.
We would have won the game if kick scores.
Yeah. Tyron Wishart comes into the 7. He's very versatile for him. And then onto the bench comes Kane Bradley. But Sua Fa'alongo absolutely killed them. 3 tries in New South Wales Cup on the weekend. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up playing some part in this game as well. Maybe you can be a little bit more versatile with Pappy.
Is he named at all?
No, he's not. He's in like the 22, 21 or 22 jersey. So there's still time.
They haven't put him in there yet. And he's not in there.
Yeah, he's isn't he in the squad?
So you got Brodie Jones, Will Price, Matt Croker, Dylan Lucas, and Jackson Hastings. That's the 22.
Sua Fa'alongo plays for the Storm.
Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ. He's not there either.
Are you looking down at... He's not in the Storms?
No.
He was before.
No,
anyway,
he's not. Yeah,
they might have removed him now as part of the cleanup that they do later in the week. How do you see this game going with the Tab, mate? The Tab have got this Newcastle Knights' favourite $1.77.
Sorry, I was thinking David Fa'alongo, who I played with 10 years ago. Oh,
I wonder if are they in relation, do you know?
Must be, man.
We'll have to look in that for next episode. Melbourne Storm at $2.05. The line is plus 1.5. Which way are you going on this one, mate?
I don't mind the Knights.
Yeah, same.
I actually don't mind the Knights. I think they'll be pissed off the first couple of games. Cogger will try and, obviously cement himself in that team.
Yep.
And just Jerome Hughes is a top 5 halfback, easily top 5 halfback in the game.
3 for me.
Is Munster playing?
Ooh.
No.
Cleary, Hughes. No, Munster.
No, Munster. So, their forward pack, the
the
Knights are going to match their forward pack, and I think the Knights got more class with Ponga. And Gagai and Bradman Best.
Pappy?
You know what I mean? And Pappenhausen is a gun. But that's all set up from the way that Hughes sets it all up, man. He gets out the back.
He really brings Pappy into the game better than anyone, doesn't he?
Yep. And I think losing him and putting Wishart in there, they'll lose. That's still going to be very, very Melbourne-esque. But I think the Knights are going to get him pluses at home.
Tyron Wishart's more of a ball runner than he is a ball player.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm on the Newcastle Knights. I'm expecting a big bounce back game. I questioned him in the review. I thought he was quiet when the team needed him the most, but I'm backing him in this game. Kalen Ponga steps up, $2.75 anytime. Maybe he does this nice, beautiful sweep shape. Either way, pushes back through the middle and scores a try. Could even be a game winner because I think this game's going to be really close. Kalen Ponga anytime. The Newcastle Knights minus 1.5. Let me just get back in here to let everyone know what are you really gambling with, and if you need free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858. Enjoy your footy over the weekend. Always gamble responsibly. Have a good time. It's going to be cracking.
What are we doing on Saturday?
We're going to be going to the Golden Slipper. Actually, we might edit this all in properly. I don't know how we're going to do it, Lukey, but we've got a couple of guests just about to join us, so let's do that now.